Shalom, Zion. So to all my black brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth, keep that hand on that plow because we ain't got long. So in this lesson, we're going to call this one the grave dangers of following man. Now, I cannot stress this enough, how important this is. So we're going to cover a lot of things. I got some things that I need to share with you. So get your pens, get your paper, whatever you need to get, because we're going to go through these scriptures so you can see how devastating and how dangerous it is to follow and put our trust in man. See, there's a place that the Most High wants to bring us to, but we can't get there yet because of that reason. Now, I'm going to show you all the scriptures and the verses that camps like to use to try to seduce our people into joining and making them not leave their camps and what have you. This goes for the Christian churches as well, because I put them all in the same category. So we're going to cover those verses, and then I'm going to show you the verses that they don't cover, they don't tell you about, so that you can be warned, Zion. The Bible is clear. The Most High says to worship the Father in truth and in spirit. You show me one verse where Hamashiach went and joined a camp or a church, you're not going to find it because it never happened. So with that being said, go ahead and grab your Bibles and we're going to get ready to get busy. Go ahead and turn your Bibles to Hebrews chapter 10, and let's look at verse 25 first, because here's one of the popular verses that the camps and the Christian churches like to use to seduce their members and making them believe that you have to be part of a church or a camp in order to be saved. So verse 25, it says, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. What is it talking about, the day approaching? It's talking about the Most High is coming when that time comes. So you will see, and I'm going to show you, this has absolutely nothing to do with being or having to be part of a camp or a church, nothing whatsoever. Now let's go back up to verse 22, because when you're reading the scriptures, you got to read all of it. You can't just read one verse and then try to apply it to something wicked. Verse 22, it says, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of belief, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Now, brothers and sisters, that is an individual thing. That's working out your salvation with fear and trembling. And it goes on to say, let us hold fast the profession of our believing without wavering, for he is true that promised. Verse 24, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. That has nothing to do with joining a camp. We have small groups. People join up with their families, with a friend. We are a scattered people. And back then, they had small groups where they were worshiping with one another. You know, because they were all together in that place. In Jerusalem, they were in their land. We are a scattered people today. So to say that forsake not the assembling of ourselves means to join a camp or a church is false. It is false. The Bible says, where there's two or three gathered, there I am in the midst. And they didn't have back then, they didn't have the churches and the camps like we have set up today. And these camps and churches are purposely set up to rob and to deprive the children of the Most High. That's what they've been doing all these years for filthy lucre. And I'm going to prove that to you through the scriptures. All right, now let's go down to verse 26. And it says, for if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remains no sacrifice for sin. Now, the key word is we sin willfully. Not that if you make a mistake and fall, because, no one's perfect. And there's going to be times that we'll fall. But this says willfully, sin willfully. So if you're claiming that we have to be part of a camp, and you're using the scripture where it says forsake not the assembly of yourselves with one another. And if you're assembling with wicked people, you are just as guilty. You see how that contradicts everything? So don't let these camp leaders, don't let these wicked people trick you to make you believing that you got to join their camps, that you got to join a Christian church, that you got to be part of religion. That's not what that verse is saying. And the Most High is clear. And the Most High is not playing in this hour. If we associate ourselves with deceivers and wickedness, we will be held accountable. All right, go ahead and turn your Bibles to Ephesians chapter 4, and let's look at verse 14. It says, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sight of men. Y'all hear that? I'm sorry, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Now, when you really look at this and you think about the Christian churches, the camps, what do they constantly do with their followers? They constantly deceive. They use scare tactics. They use crafty tactics to try to will them in. Why? Because they need their money. They need their funding. It's all a scam. That's all it is. It's all a scam. All right, go over to Titus chapter 1, and let's look at verses 10 and 11. It says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. It's talking about us, whose mouth must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre sake. Now, filthy lucre is greedy for money. And, you look at these camps, you look at the Christian churches, that's what they do. They are greedy for filthy lucre. Now, you may be saying, well, why are you comparing the camps with the Christian churches? Because they're no difference. They're the same. The only difference between the Christian church and the camps is that the camps actually know who they are for the most part. That's the only difference. But they have the same tactics, the same kind of crazy doctrines. It's all tied in. They got the 501c3s and what have you. All right, let's go over to Proverbs chapter 6, and let's look at starting with verse 12. It says, a naughty person, a wicked man, walks with a froward mouth. He winks with his eyes. He speaks with his feet. He teaches with his fingers. Oh, so y'all thought that demonic hand signs was a new thing of this generation. Like Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun. They've been doing this stuff way back when. Verse 14. Frowardness is in his heart. He deceives mischief continually. He sows discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall be broken without remedy. And you guys really want to join the camps, y'all want to join these Christian churches and be a part of these groups. The Most High did not set that stuff up, brothers and sisters. There's a reason why we are scattered. There's a reason why the Most High scattered our seeds to the four corners of the earth. All right, look at 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 13. It says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. Now, if you notice all this wickedness that's going on within these camps, these Christian churches, is it getting better or is it getting worse? It's getting worse, because these people that are followers, they're robots. Their minds has been so brainwashed by their leaders. They just there, and you can't tell them anything. Well, we can't go against the man of God, and, we can't do that. And they got them so scared in their boots and shaking, they can't even speak up. And you got certain leaders in these camps who knows what's going on, but they refuse to say anything. And you know what? The Most High is going to hold them just as though they committed the crime. I'm telling you, this thing is nothing to play with. And the Most High holds us responsible, because if we see wickedness, it is our duty to expose it. All right, saints? I don't care what y'all say. If you sit on the sidelines and just watch this stuff go on, then you're just as guilty as the camps themselves. You're just as guilty as the Christian churches themselves. And I don't got time to be sitting on those sidelines. I made a vow to the Most High I would sound this trumpet, and I will serve the Most High even if it kills me. And I mean that. So brothers and sisters, we got to get off our high horses, and we got to start exposing this wickedness for what it is. All right, so let's move on to 2 Timothy chapter 4. And it says, preach the word, be ready in season, out of season. So brothers and sisters, that means that we must be ready at all times. And we have brothers and sisters who are stuck on this 1619 to 2019. I hate to burst your bubbles, brothers and sisters, but we're going to be here for a minute. So don't be expecting anything soon, because we got a lot of work to do. Y'all hear me? Some of y'all may get mad at me by saying that, though. But, when the Most High says he would cut the time short, don't mean it's going to be short in our terms. That could be cut the time short means it could be the next 10 years versus being here another 20 years. That 10 years being cut short. We don't know, brothers and sisters, when it says the Most High will cut the time short. Yes, the Most High will cut the time short, but we don't know what that time frame is. That could be the next 5 years, next 10 years. We don't know. And so, the Most High is trying to give you, is trying to warn you not to be caught up in some dates. The most important thing we need to do is serve the Most High. We need to be ready in season and out of season. We must be ready as though if he was going to come back tomorrow. Y'all hear me? So that's the whole point that people are missing with this. So we must be ready always. Then it goes on to say, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Verse 3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers. Y'all hear that? Teachers having itching ears. We love all this smooth stuff. We love all this crazy talk. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables. But watch in all things, endure affliction. You hear that? Endure affliction, Zion, because it's coming. Do the work of an evangelist. Make full proof of your ministry. In other words, prove all things through scriptures. And that's what we got to be doing. Too many of us sitting on the sidelines and just doing nothing and expecting everybody else to do the work. If each one of us get up and put our hands to this plow, yeah, we could. The Most High would really cut the time short. But, we want to sit on the sidelines and watch all this wickedness take place and not do anything about it. Well, it's time to stand up, Zion. The ball's in your court now. What you going to do? All right, let's go to Yachanan, which is 2 John chapter 1. And let's start with verse 9. It says, whosoever transgresses and abides not in the doctrine of Mashiach has not Yahuwah. He that abides in the doctrine of Mashiach, he has both the Father and the Son. Verse 10, if there come any unto you and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house. Y'all hear that? It says, receive him not into your house, neither bid him farewell. Wow, that's strong, y'all. It says, neither bid him farewell. For he that bids him farewell is partakers of his evil deeds. See, and this is why, brothers and sisters, this is a perfect example. When you support these Christian churches, when you support these camps, even by listening to them, some of you might disagree, and that's fine, but you're taking part in their evil deeds. This is serious. This is serious. This is why we must test every spirit, test everything by the scriptures. And all these crazy doctrines and these crazy teachers teaching all this stuff, we all know that these camps they support that 12 tribe they support that European 12 tribe chart. They only got 3 black nations on there and the rest of them are Europeans. Now, what kind of sense that makes when when Jacob, all his sons were black and his wives were black. And on that fake chart, they got Judah, Levi, Benjamin as being black, but then the rest of the tribes are European nations. Now, does that make any sense to you all, Zion? Just go to my playlist and look under the ABC blasphemous camps in their European chart, and you'll see the lessons I've done covering these camps. But see, Zion, the Most High wants to get us into a place, but he can't do that right now because we're so heavily involved with following man. The Most High wants to take us to the fifth dimension. Now, you may say, wait a minute now, where you going with this? I mean exactly what I said. And some of y'all don't even understand. Some of y'all can't even comprehend that yet because it's so spiritual. It's so deep. The Most High wants to bring us to the fifth dimension. That's the same thing he wanted to do with our forefathers, but he could not because of unbelief. Because of unbelief. And long as we're continuing to be a part of these camps in these Christian churches, he cannot bring us to the fifth dimension because these people are still stuck in the third. It's a crime shame. The Most High wants to bring us to a much higher spiritual level, and that's why we're probably going to be here for a while. Because we seem like we can't get it right. You know, and I don't know what else, you know, and I can't stress this enough, brothers and sisters. We cannot be depending upon man. You see how much, you see all the stuff that's going on with these camps, with the Christian churches in this world, period. It's just wickedness all around us. And I'm very careful of what spirits I connect with. I'm very careful what spirits I let in my house. And you should be the same way too. You shouldn't just be quick to get with anybody just because they call themselves a Hebrew. You better test that spirit. All right, let's go to Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 9. It says, be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace, not with foods which have not profited them that have been occupied therein. So be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, because even back then, in the days of the disciples, it was going on. So, you know, we got to pray for spiritual discernment in this time and day. I mean, that I can't stress that enough. That's going to be so important to have that spiritual discernment. Because I'm telling you, well, you got wicked demons all over the place. And you got children. You got to protect your children. I'm telling you, a household, you got to protect them. It's your responsibility. So you can't just be getting connected with just anybody, joining camps and churches and groups and what have you. Now let's go back to Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 25. Look at this verse that the camps love to use so much. It says, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much more as ye see the day approaching. And I just showed you this has nothing to do with joining or remaining in a camp whatsoever. You know, and you got your family members. It may just be you and your children. It may just be you, you know, and somewhere where there's nothing but heathens, because we are a scattered people. So when we read stuff, we got to read things in context and what it really means. Because if you're assembling with wicked people, then that's going to be on you. And we will be held accountable for that kind of stuff. All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 30 and let's look at verse 20. And I'm going to show you another verse that these camps like to use, especially GMS. Now, y'all know who GMS is. That's that crazy group that like to rape 12-year-old little girls. So let's look at verse 20. It says, and though Adonai give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not your teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but your eyes shall see your teachers. Now they use this heavily to justify them going out onto the street corners and cursing out the senior daughters of Zion. This is what they use to show that you must go out into the streets and do this ministry. But I'm going to show you that the Bible speaks against that heavily, because the Pharisees of old did the same thing. Now, I find it very interesting that these camps will use this verse to try to justify them going out into the streets doing their wickedness, but they'll never ever read verse 21 or read verse 19. So let's go there. Verse 19, it says, for the people shall dwell in Tyson at Jerusalem. You shall weep no more. He will be very gracious unto you at the voice of your cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer you. Who's that he's talking about? Now let's go to verse 21 because it's going to make more sense. And it says, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left hand. See where this is going? And your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. Now, who is our ultimate teacher? Well, let's prove it from the scriptures. All right, let's go to John, the book of John, chapter 14, and let's look at verse 26. It says, but the Comforter, y'all hear that? But the Comforter, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom the Father will send in my name. Now I want you to pay very close attention to this. He shall teach you all things. It didn't say some things. It says he shall teach you all things. What does that mean? That means all things pertaining to his word. And get this, and bring all things to your remembrance whatsoever I have said unto you. So in other words, what we study in the word, the Most High, his Ruach, brings it to our remembrance. But it says, read that part again. He shall teach you all things. See, you see, the camps won't tell you this verse because it goes against their man doctrine. You know, this verse requires you to follow the Most High instead of man. So they can't show this one to you. It says, he shall teach you all things. It's talking about the Ruach, the Spirit of the Most High, and bring all things to your remembrance whatsoever I have said unto you. Plain and simple, Zion. But let's get another one. All right, let's go to John 6:63. It says, it is the Ruach that quickens. The flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach, and they are life. So here it is again. It is the Ruach, or the Spirit of the Most High, that quickens it. That is the teacher and brings things to our remembrance. So when you read, go back to Isaiah 30, it all makes sense. So don't let these fools make you believe that you got to be out in the street corner preaching and cursing people out. Now I'm going to show you some scriptures that the camps stay far away from, because you know why? It explains them to a T. So you would never, ever, ever hear them quote this verse. And I've never, ever heard a camp member quote this verse. So let's go to Matthew chapter 23, and let's start with verse 4. It says, for they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and they lay them on men's shoulders. This is what they do in these camps. I've heard the testimonies, and I've told you I used to fellowship with IUIC. I never joined their camp, but I know what they do. I know how they roll and get down with that kind of stuff. And they do. They put large burdens on people, that burdens that they would not even lift themselves. And it goes on to say, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Verse 5, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. That's vainglory. They love that attention. They love man worship. They love to sit at those high tables. They love getting their meals first. It goes on to say, they make broad their phylacteries, and that's the blue border. They would enlarge them, make them big for everybody can see them. And it goes on to say, and enlarge their tzitzits of their garments. Those are the fringes. You know, they would go crazy with it. Verse 6, and love the uppermost rooms at feast and the chief seats in the synagogue. That describes these camps to a T today. They love the attention. They love filthy lucre. They love the money. I mean, I'm telling you, they love that glory. They sit out there in their flashy garments and, it's all vainglory. Verse 7, and greetings in the marketplace, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. They love that attention. They love when people brag on them. It's all about the vainglory. It's all about the rank, the money, the attention. They love it all, and it's all wickedness. And that's why you would never, ever hear them quote this verse. And, and the Most High is getting ready to drop the hammer. The wheats and the tares are growing together, and harvest is soon approaching us. Now, let's get another one they won't quote. Stay in that same chapter, but drop down to verse 23. It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cunning, and have omitted the weightier matters of Torah, judgment, mercy, and belief. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Now look what it goes on to say. Verse 24. Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallowed a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye make clean, y'all see that? Y'all make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess, or full of dead man's bones, as you would say. These camps standing out there in their flashy garments, and I mean looking casket sharp, looking good to be seen of men, but are full of dead man's bones. They are already casket ready for the grave, when the Most High drops that hammer and reveals their wickedness, which he's already doing already. Now let's go. I'm going to show you another verse that these camps love to use to prove that we must start camps to build a nation. And I'm going to prove that's also a lie. Look at Zephaniah chapter 2, and let's look at verse 1. It says, gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. What does that mean, O nation not desired? Are we not hated among the nations? That's right. We are not a nation. Not yet. Not until the Most High comes back and gathers his people. Now, we are a people. We are a chosen people, but we are not a nation. To be a nation requires several things. Now, you look at the United States. They have a military force, right? They have a political structure. They have an infrastructure. They have an outer structure. They have all these different things that make them what they are. We don't have that as a people, Zion. And when the Most High comes back, we will have that. He's going to restore all of that back to us. And, and you calling yourself trying to use this verse to try to justify that you camps are trying to build a nation. The only thing that you're building is a bunch of falsehood and wickedness. And you're literally a cancer to our people. These camps are a cancer to our people, and they need to be destroyed and shut down. And the Most High is going to do that. Y'all watch. I'm telling you, mark my words. The writing is on the wall. You cannot. How can Satan cast out Satan? How can you build a nation off of wickedness? You can't do it. You cannot build a nation off of lies and wickedness. You pushing that crazy European chart, talking about building a nation. Verse 2, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a shaft, before the fierce anger of Yahuwah come upon you, before the day of Yahuwah's anger come upon you, seek Yahuwah, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of Yahuwah's anger. So in other words, when it says in verse 1, because verse 2 and 3 is the precept to verse 1. So when it says gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired, it means get your stuff together, Zion. Get it together. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Put away these false idols. Put away these wicked assemblies. Stop following man. Come out of these wicked camps. That's what it means. You can't build a nation off of wickedness. How can Satan cast himself out? How can Satan cast out Satan? And you're trying to build a nation on lies. The Most High said he will build our nation. He's going to bring us together. And I'm going to prove it to you. Talking about building a nation. What are you building? You building wicked, evil, and a foundation of Satan. That's what you're building. Now, let me show you what the Most High did and the reason why he did what he did. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, and let's look at verse 27 and 28. And it says, and Yahuwah shall scatter you among the nations. He didn't say some nations. He said among the nations. And ye shall be left few in number among the what? Among the heathens, whither Yahuwah shall lead you. So I want you to think about something. All the captivities that we've been in, we were always together. But it seems like every time we came together, we started worshiping idols. We started worshiping each other's and all kind of crazy stuff, taking on foreign women and what have you. So the Most High says, okay, this time I'm going to scatter your seed to the four corners of the earth. Then he goes on to say, and there ye shall serve Elohim, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. What are we doing right now? Christianity, religion. Our people are so caught up in this stuff. And, you know, our people are coming straight out of Christianity and coming straight into the camp. It's like coming in. It's like coming in out of the heat right into the frying pan. I mean, our people are coming straight out of Christianity, brainwashed, straight into the camps to be further brainwashed even more. I mean, man, you can't win for losing. Let's go to Hosea chapter 3, and let's look at verse 4. It says, for the children of Yasharel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. And see, this was prophesied. So when the Most High scattered us to the four corners of the earth, he made sure, the Most High made sure that we would not come together as a nation. It would be hard for us to come together as a nation. But what did these camps do? They prematurely try to recruit people and gather up people for filthy lucre just to deceive them. The Most High never designed for us to have and to be in camps in these last days. And I don't care what you say. Some people will say, well, these camps brought many people into the truth. No, it was the Holy Spirit that brought these people into the truth. These camps had nothing to do with it. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have their purpose. They do have their purpose, but so does Satan. Now, if you study the sanctuary, Satan is always represented as the scapegoat. And I'm going to talk about that in episode 8 when I talk about the real black Messiah. And it's going to be in depth too. And it's going to be super epic because there's going to be a lot to cover. And I'm going to prove to you that Hamashiach is in the Old Testament. He's right there in the sanctuary. He's been there in our faces all this time. So you can't build a nation off of wickedness and off of lies. The Most High said that he was going to bring the people together, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to show you camps in these wicked Sunday churches that no man on earth is going to be able to bring his people together but the Most High himself. All right, go ahead and turn those Bibles to Ezekiel chapter 20, and let's look at verse 34. And it says, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye were scattered. Now, remember, we just read in Deuteronomy 4:27 that the Most High scattered his people to the four corners of the earth. Now he's saying that he's going to bring them out. So the Most High put us in captivity. Guess what? He's going to bring us out of captivity. It goes on to say, the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm. And get the third part, and with fury poured out. So when the Most High gets ready to gather us, we're going to know. The whole world is going to know. And it's not going to be in 2019. So y'all can get that out your brains, because the whole world is going to know when that happens. The Most High is going to bring us out of these countries from whence we were scattered to. Not no doggone camps, not no Sunday churches, not any Hebrew organization. Only the Most High. Let me repeat that again, because I think some of y'all got wax in your ears. Only the Most High is going to bring us together. And the Most High only is going to build and make us into a nation. Regardless of what these camps are trying to do, they can't do it. And that's why they're failing. That's why all their wickedness is being revealed even as we speak. Because the Most High did not set these camps up. Man set these camps up, just like man set up religion. It was all man's doing, all for filthy lucre to control the minds of the people. And these, our brothers and sisters, that's why we got to pray for our brothers and sisters in these camps, because they are just as brainwashed, more so than when they were in Christianity. It's just a higher level of brainwashing, which is more dangerous. And this is why we don't need to be following man or his ways. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17 in verse 5. It says, "Thus says Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trust in man and make flesh his arm, and whose heart departs from Yahuwah." I'm telling you, I can't stress this enough. The Most High is not playing with this thing. And, the Most High has been calling us to worship him and to call upon him. And the reason why we're so messed up as a people right now is because we got all these camps, all these Sunday churches. That's why there's so much confusion. So now the Most High has to go through and work it through his spirit to get everybody on the right track. But everybody's not going to get on the right track, because the Bible says that the wheats and the tares are going to grow together. So therefore, we have to continue and tarry and occupy until the Most High comes, working out that salvation with fear and trembling daily. So let's go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Mashiach." And that's a serious note. And what are we experiencing right now? All kind of deceit, philosophies, all kind of stuff. And I know we have a lot of new believers and what have you, but you know what? They're going to be exposed to this stuff. And this walk is not for the faint in heart, because the Most High tells us not to faint not at his tribulations for us. So, we're all in this together. So we're going to have to man up, and we're going to have to be strong. We're going to have to get in that word, and we got to stop being spiritually lazy and study and stop complaining so much. We need to stop complaining, period. All right, so let's go over to Psalms chapter 118, and let's look at verse 8 and 9. It says, "It is better to trust in Yahuwah than to put confidence in man." Did y'all hear that? It is better to trust in Yahuwah than to put confidence in man. What do you mean by putting confidence in man? That means allowing man to lead you, allowing man to make decisions for you. That's what they do in these camps. That's what they do in the Christian churches. The pastors make the decision. The people don't even bring their Bibles. They just sit there and take every word for it. Y'all know how it was. "Oh, sister, he preached a good sermon." Well, what did he preach about? I don't know, but it was good. Verse 9. "It is better to trust in Yahuwah than to put confidence in princes." We are told time and time again not to put trust in any man. I don't care who it is. No trust in man. I don't care how nice they've been, or if it seems like they're even preaching the good stuff. They're going according to the scriptures. You don't put your trust in man, period. And I don't know what's going to take to get through our people. All right, let's go to Ecclesiasticus. And let's look at chapter 23, and let's look at verse 19. It says, such as man only fear the eyes of men, and knows not that the eyes of Yahuwah are 10,000 times brighter. Y'all hear that? This is one of my favorite verses. Are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. So there's nothing that we can hide from the Most High. Nothing. No crevices, nowhere, nothing. It says he knew all things ere ever they were created. So also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. So the Most High is the master of all. We're talking about an Elohim that has no beginning or end. I mean, that is just straight up powerful. We can't even comprehend that. And here we are, living this little life with the average lifespan of the human is what, about 75, 80 years. And here we are in our 20s, whatever, 50s, and we think we know something. We think we got the word mastered. We hadn't even scratched the surface to begin to understand the mysteries of the Most High. Not even close. And Zion, I get it. I hear it from you all the time. I'm alone. I have nobody to worship with. I hear it 1,000 times over. I get it. But look, saints, we're gonna have to man up. We're gonna have to put that trust in the Most High. You might be lonely at times, but you're not alone. And just remember, the Most High is with us, and this has to be fulfilled. This has to come about. And we got to take the crookeds with the straights. It's just plain and simple. I can't explain it no other way. Our forefathers messed up, so therefore we have to take the brunt of it. And we just, I know it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of our people, but we're just going to have to, a lot of us going to have to roll with the punches. We're going to have to roll with the punches. But what's most important is enduring. And that's what we must do. We must endure to the end, Zion. So just remember, pray for one another. Don't give up on your family members. I know we got some stiff-necked family members, but you got to keep praying for them. I'm not saying that you got to keep getting in their faces. Just step back, leave them alone, but just pray from a distance. So with that being said, Zion, I really pray that you were edified. I pray that you really got something out of this, and I encourage you to keep on studying, because we could have been here forever. I mean, there's just so much, but don't worry. There's plenty of more lessons to come. I'm going to keep going until we can't go no more. And so with that being said, Zion, I'm going to leave you with Revelation 14:12. You know the deal. Y'all should already have it memorized by now. I'll say shalom and stay strong.